Introducing a new podcast. Karen Hunter is awesome.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're gonna love me. And Karen Hunter is awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of the Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power. A 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. So check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed.
Karen Hunter is awesome. A new podcast from Karen Hunter.
A helicopter hit an airplane just outside of Washington, D.C. Last night, and people lost their lives. And all I could think about the ice skaters that were on, they were some with their parents. And so I want to start with them because there were 27 passengers on the jet, one on the helicopter, and they've all lost their lives. 6 of them affiliated with a skating club in Boston. So, I was thinking about this as I was thinking about Kobe and his daughter going to a basketball game. You get on an airplane and go somewhere and there's excitement and you're training or you're going and competing. If you're somebody, you're going to a speech. There's a destination with intention. And to not make it there for no fault of your own. You paid your ticket, you did your thing, you did everything you were supposed to do. So I want to uplift, I want to center the human beings. Vadim Naumov and Evgenia Shishkova, they were married. Again, they were probably holding hands at some point, maybe doing a mile high thing. I don't know, and I wish they were. Okay. They were figure skaters and they were also coaches. They were world champions in pairs in 1994. They joined this skating club in Boston in 2017 to give back, to teach the next generation. Gina Han, a figure skater, and her mom, Jen Han, mother and daughter on that flight. Spencer Lane and his mom, Spencer Lane and Molly Lane, were also on that flight, another figure skater with his mom, which is another thing altogether, to travel with your parent. Alexander Kursanov, he was a coach of 2 of the ice skaters on board. His wife, Natalia Gudin, she told ABC News, "I lost everything. I lost my husband. I lost my students. I lost my friends." Ina Volnyskaya, another figure skater who competed for the Soviet Union and coached for the Washington figure skating team. She was also on that flight, according to the Russian state news channel. Pete Hegseth, I don't even know what he is. He said, "At this point, we don't believe there are any survivors from this accident." The new FAA person, because the old FAA person was threatened by Elon Musk with firing, so he stepped down. Somebody with institutional knowledge. He stepped down because he was threatened, because he said SpaceX is dangerous and is creating debris, and it is. I mean, you can talk to the people in the Caribbean. Stuff is flying out the air. He said this is a disaster. So Elon Musk targeted the old FAA person, and then this new Doji department got rid of a bunch of people because we don't need these people who know what they're doing. And now we have this disaster, and I just think about the people who are on it, because in order for us to move forward, we're going to have to put ourselves in the bodies of people.
Yeah.
Whether they're being snatched up, maybe it's not you, but it could be.
Yeah.
Only accident of birth have us here, Amber, and not someplace in a burqa not learning, or in a place that is so horrific that we would want to leave.
Exactly.
So I'm considering us fortunate, those of us who are here.
I consider us fortunate too. I to your point about us needing to recognize that it is happening around you, even though it isn't happening to you. Like, I used to live in DC. I fly in and out of DC regularly. That is a routine airport for me. I have a cousin who lives right there on the water. So, I mean, I called her immediately, "Are you okay? Did you hear anything?" So the thing that I think is critical is to recognize that it is closer now. When there is not responsible leadership, when people are exhausted because they're being stretched, when there is too much going on, it is a lot easier for us to have disaster. And it is a lot easier for us to be close to it. And at a time like right now, for us to get to a place where we can call for the type of change that is necessary, it's critical that you embody the experiences that the people around you are having, because you're in proximity, even if it isn't happening directly to you.
And it shouldn't take it happening to you
No,
for you to have compassion or for you to
correct.
have a sense of humanity. To have a leader of a free world, president of the United States, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time, but you should hear how he dealt with a tragic event on his soil that cost lives of his citizens and others. That probably was definitely, not probably, was preventable.
Yeah.
It was preventable. So
That has been
let's
said several times. Yeah.
Hex
Preventable.
said that it was preventable, which
Mhm.
means it was a human error, which
Mhm.
means that it was a lack of training, a lack of not the American Airlines pilot, perfect. Now there are no rear view mirrors in an air. He was on course, or she was on. They were on course,
Yep.
doing what they were supposed to do because they're
Correct.
trained, and they
Mhm.
were landing.
Yeah.
The helicopter was out of order. That's a
Yeah.
military helicopter
That's
that was
right.
not supposed to be in these air. They weren't supposed to be there, and we're told, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
They created an environment for people to lose their lives, and it's no fault of theirs. It's
And the
no fault of
question
the.
The question that I think we all have to be answering again, because we are all walking around with this level of anxiety because of the rapid speed of change and the type of violence that is resulting from said change. You don't know the mindset of the person who was flying the helicopter. He was by himself. They were by themselves. It was one person. So, yeah, you were off course. You were also warned. I don't know how your well being was. We live in a country
Mm.
where we have to wonder if your well being is the reason that this happened. And I think that's deeply unfortunate, but it's something we have to consider. And you have to consider it now, any and everywhere you go, including getting on a plane.
I'm going to play this clip. Trigger warning. Some is of how the person that 70 million people thought was fit for office, fit to lead, how he dealt with it. Now, before we play this, Justin Trudeau sent out a message of condolences first for the people who lost their lives, leadership, and it wasn't his plane, wasn't his helicopter. But, again, it doesn't have to happen to you for you to have enough compassion to acknowledge that something bad has happened. But this is how FOTUS responded. Play it.
Mr. President, on DEI and the claims that you've made, are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power, you have to go by psychological quality. And psychological quality is a very important element of it. These are various very powerful tests that we put to use, and they were terminated by Biden. And Biden went by a standard that's the exact opposite. So we don't know, but we do know that you had two planes at the same level. You had a helicopter and a plane. That shouldn't have happened. And we'll see. We're going to look into that, and we're going to see. But certainly for an air traffic controller, we want the brightest, the smartest, the sharpest. We want somebody that's psychologically superior, and that's what we're going to have. Yeah.
Well, we don't have it in the presidency. We don't have it in a military. We don't have it in anywhere, vice presidency. We don't have it right now. So the very thing that you're calling for, you don't possess. Number one. Number two, air traffic control was not at fault here.
Nope.
So you're saying something though, but he's signaling that somehow, air traffic controllers mostly black. I'm not sure, but he's trying to say that, right? I don't think that they are, no more so than the DEI people. 70% of people who headed up DEI programs were white,
Right.
not black. Only
Correct.
6%, I think, of DEI people were black. Only
Correct.
6%, and we make up 13, 14, 15%. We don't fill out the census, so I don't know. That said, Amber, for him to use the DEI as an entry point to obfuscate The blame, this is not on Biden. This was your Nighthawk helicopter on your watch. You're
That's
the
right.
president.
That's
You're
right.
the one that had this person out by themselves training, which shouldn't happen. How is this person out there by themselves training?
So this is why I said I think we have to question, and this is not from a DEI perspective, because I don't, first of all, I'm really over us using DEI to
For
basically,
everything. Yeah.
right, blame everything on these three letters, and half of the population doesn't even know what they actually stand for. But I do think that, like, that's why I say, like, the mental wellness of this person is of question. You know, I will say, the strategic air traffic controller comment, there's still some ownership that needs to be taken there, because I think it was last year, like late last year, that a report came out that said that something like 97 or 99 or some high 90% of air traffic control sites are understaffed. So those folks are overworked. Okay, so there's that. But then you have this person that's in a helicopter, having friends who are in the military, having friends who fly planes in the military, having friends who also fly helicopters in the military. The training is extensive. The skill is, there is no president that could make a decision about whether or not that's not something Biden did. I would put all my little dollars on it, because you have to know what you're doing. This is a $5 million plus machine, period. And you think that you just gonna say, okay, well, we're gonna cut the rules a little bit so you can go up in the air with everybody else with this $5 million machine. That's not even how this country works. We're not gonna let you use this piece of equipment that costs this amount of money without some background and experience. So, like, I really wonder about the mental health of the person, because we are talking about, in just the last 10 days, sweeping change. You have no idea how they may have been navigating that for them to make a decision to get in a helicopter on their own. You don't know. And I
Right.
personally cannot help but if there is a thing that I would openly question, it would be that, not whether or not DEI is involved. Like,
I
that's
didn't even
absolutely
consider,
absurd.
I thought they were doing some sort of military training. So that somebody
Maybe.
was,
By yourself,
yeah, listen, I have no experience. I'm
you
out of my
know?
depth in this area. I only know what I'm reading,
Yeah.
and that's it. So you're giving me this is why journalism is important. This is why having a solid media,
Yeah.
which is a little different than what I'm talking about, which is a deep dive of journalists.
Yeah.
I don't know enough. I don't
We
know. I
don't.
just know that these people are not here and they should be
Correct.
here.
And
That much I know.
I also think it's just irresponsible leadership to pull out something harmful as the potential cause, rather than considering something that's actually more realistic, that we have data for. Like, if you were
Right.
going to make a speculation, make it based on some things we know. We know everybody is kind of stressed out. We know that the air traffic control folks are understaffed. We know a lot of things that would lead to logical guesses if you're going to do that. Irresponsible leadership is for you to just get up and say, hey, we don't know, but it could be DEI. Like, what? It's
But here's the thing,
ridiculous.
though. Here's the thing. I mean, it is ridiculous, but his whole campaign has been this first time and this time. This is no different than the way he handled COVID. This is no different than the way he's handled anything. And it's always going to be shift the blame on the blacks or shift the blame on the immigrants. And it is his rule book, his playbook. And but we have to keep talking the way we're talking, because this is unacceptable. We cannot shrug and say, well, this is how he is. It's unacceptable, because unfortunately, as I had a conversation with a caller off mic, this person impacts our lives.
Absolutely.
Somebody tried to say, nepotism with Will Smith. I was like, Will Smith is not impacting my mama's Medicare and her Social Security.
Right.
Will Smith is not directing our military or getting into wars or not getting into wars. Will Smith can't put a tariff and create a price gouge that we have never seen before. Will Smith
Exactly.
can't do any of those things. So that you have distilled an argument that's so sophomoric
Yes.
and irrelevant, when this man can impact, as we are seeing, 26 people are dead.
Yeah.
And I believe they're dead because we have poor leadership. And if it's not you, the way in which you couch this is poor leadership, because now you have thrown everybody into discomfort, which I think is the goal too, though, Amber. I
It
think
is.
chaos
Yeah,
is the
absolutely.
formula here.
Absolutely. I definitely think that discomfort is the goal. I think primarily fear and discomfort. I think what I want to do is make you afraid so you won't do anything. And I want to make you uncomfortable so you will cling to what you have. And this is a time where you have to kind of realize that, like, hey, the decision's been made. I'm going to do the best I can with what I have control of. So, what is that? For some of us, that is simply our brain and our body. For others of us, we may have the benefit of having a responsible impact on others' lives because they're on our team, or, we have colleagues, or we have children, or we're married. Like, this is a time for you to critically think about, what does safety, what does well-being, what do healthy conversations look like in the spaces I control? Because if you are so distracted by the things that are bigger than you, that you cannot control, that are absolutely intended to make you mad, you won't move anywhere, and neither will anyone else around you, because you are not capable of zoning in to just say, okay, what can I control? What can I actually impact?
That's kind of the mantra, of the show, because you realize how little you have control over. So I found this clip on Instagram by a woman. Her name is Mary Van Geffen. So she flew out from California to Maryland to help her older parents move into a smaller house. They're in a 3-story house. She'll go through it, and I think it's poignant because she's saying exactly what you're saying. And in the midst of this chaos, I want to always give us some calm, give us some food for thought, what you just did. And I'm going to double down on that with Mary Van Geffen. Smith, play it.
I need you to know that stuff does not matter. I have come across the country to help my aged parents. You thought I was aged. My aged parents to move out of a 3-story home into a unassuming 1-story ranch. And we are going through stuff. And do you know that the silver closet that she used to say, make sure you lock it, I don't want anyone to steal our silver. Half the stuff in the silver closet we just put on the street. We just put on the street for anyone to take. And the things that you think matter so much don't matter. It's the people, it's the relationships. All these things, like, turns out my mom's a basket hoarder. So many different baskets. She has great taste. And I don't want the stuff. And all the beautiful china, all the silver platters. I'm not going to pay to have that shipped to California. I'm here in Annapolis, Maryland. And it takes a lot of courage, I think, to go through all your stuff. But I said to my parents, and they make fun of me as they do when I show any emotionality. I said, I just want you to know that it's really brave of what you're doing, going through all this now, while we can do it kind of joyfully together, rather than you're dead, I'm grieving you, and now I'm going through all your junk. So they went, because that's what the other generation does when you are sincere. And that's okay. I've healed, girl. I'm fine with that. But I just want you to know, go through your stuff. Don't make your kids do it. You don't need all this stuff. So many things that mattered so much. So many books and gifts that people gave that you never did anything with. We got to figure out how to do gifts better.
Thank you,
Stop
Mary.
giving folks your trash. This was that. Listen, the poignantness of her closing. I, have been very open. I lost my father in January of 23, and I had to go through his stuff. And it's so true. The things that were valuable enough for me to keep, I kept my father's wallet. I kept his wallet. In his wallet, he had every business card I ever gave him. I kept his wallet. He had my books in his safe, and I'm gonna tear up because it's my dad. But you really, really think it's the stuff. He had a mug I gave him when I was 9 years old. So it's truly not what you think it is. It's absolutely the memories, and we do got to do better at gifts for sure.
Introducing a new podcast. Karen Hunter is awesome.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're gonna love me. And Karen Hunter is awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of the Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power. A 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. So check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed.
Karen Hunter is awesome. A new podcast from Karen Hunter.